For Carnage's design, I might catch some flack for this, but I must admit, I'm a little bit disappointed. It feels generally just like red Venom, red Venom, red Venom.
Okay guys, so we just got the new trailer for Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. And to be honest guys, a lot of us were pretty disappointed when we finally got around to see the design of Carnage. Yeah, yikes. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sheep and thank you guys so much for joining me here in my studio today. And today I'm just going to be doing a little bit of a different video today because I'm actually going to be redesigning Carnage from this trailer. Actually making him look more comic book accurate and just designing him to my liking. To be honest, I think this is quite a decent design and it probably will evolve during the movie. Like he'll probably get more comic book accurate as he kind of evolves through the movie, or at least that's my little theory. But yeah guys, if you didn't know, I'm actually a freelance graphic designer and concept artist in my spare time. I'm working currently on a few fan films and also just doing fan art as always. And I'll be using my skills and just everything I've acquired over the years in order to do my remake of Carnage in this video. I'm just going to be trying to make him look more like the one from the 90s cartoon, and that is my favorite design of Carnage, with a few comic book inspirations in there. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a different video. I'm gonna do a bit of a time lapse with some explanation. Yeah, let's just get right into the video. So yeah guys, here I am in Photoshop and we're just gonna begin. To start off with, I just picked a few texture brushes and started to add the black that Carnage has on his forehead and his jawline. Because Carnage's black, the black of his symbiote I should say, actually starts on the center parts of his body. That means the nose and forehead area, and on his main body it's like the chest area. When I had just blocked out the basic of the blacks, I started to work on the eyes. I really wanted to differentiate his eyes from Venom, making them a bit more angular, a bit more aggressive, just a bit more mean looking, because of course Venom is going to be a kind of like an anti-hero in this film, kind of like the first one, and Carnage is going to be the big bad. But yeah, I also started just tweaking in and adding some red areas back in, so there's this like cool contrast between the red and the black. And once I was done with that, I started to work on the jaw, because Carnage doesn't actually have a tongue. In most of the comics he actually, and especially in the 90s cartoons as well, he just has a really pink mouth and then some black teeth. And I think that's really why he looks so horrifying, because it looks so unnatural to me. I was really scared of Carnage as a kid, especially because I had the Venom, Spider-Man Venom I think it's called, from the 90s cartoon, like the DVD of those episodes where Spider-Man gets the symbiote, where he fights Venom, and then the Carnage part as well. And he always looked so horrifying to me. Also because the way they made his voice in that show, I hope they do something like that as well in the movie. Like, it always freaked me out. Like, Carnage really freaked me out. And I never really saw him as kind of like a really interesting characters in the comics, but the 90s cartoon, especially with the Peter Parker from the Another Dimension and stuff like that, they really managed to make him interesting. I've never really read that much Carnage, I gotta be honest with you guys. But from what I've seen, most of my knowledge of him comes from either video games and especially the 90s cartoons, because that is the Carnage I grew up with. Or even though I'm not actually a 90s kid, I'm from the really early 2000s, it still was the show that was on here. So yeah, I was just always really into this, and especially this version of Carnage. I also think it's one of the best Carnage designs that ever was put in media. It was especially one that really influenced me when I think of Carnage. And yeah, so back to the artwork. I'm just working on the teeth right now, I should say. Just adding some highlights to them, just blackening them, just making them dark and grim, kind of like in the 90s cartoons. I'm using some texture brushes and a low flow brush and just working those details into the piece. I'm also using something called Blend If, where you can just subtract and add black parts and highlights from different layers, and it really helps with blending stuff in. But yeah, I'm also really trying to make his jaw feel really large and deep, so that like if you get eaten by this guy, or if he tries to attack you with his mouth, like you'll be frightened. Like, I really want Carnage to have this scary vibe to him, because for me he is the scariest of all the symbiotes, and I really want that to shine through in this piece. So that's kind of what I'm working on. But now I'm starting to work on the body. I'm trying to add in some black spots here just as placeholders, so that we start off to get some contrast on the body. And then I'm going in to paint my own little veins to start off with, just painting some rough veins that I'm going to shade and blur, just so they have, I want to call it vein shading, because it's kind of not hard edge veins, it's just kind of like the shading. They will be placeholders for stuff I'm going to paint in later. So yeah, I'm just using some blend diff again and some blur to make that fit into the piece. And already here he looks way more meaty and, I don't know, aggressively and more, I don't know, he just looks more disgusting to me when you add like these contrasting textures. And that's always how I depict Carnage in the comics. He's just the disgusting and just brutal bloody symbiote of the Spider-Man universe. So yeah, I'm trying to focus on his ab area now, or his chest area. So I'm just darkening that a bit, because as I said before, most of Carnage's black areas are from the sensor parts of the body, and then they spread out to the rest. So yeah, his forehead, nose and chest area is where I'm putting most of the black stuff here, and just adding some contrast into it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working with here. So I'm just kind of painting in here and there, and yeah, it's kind of just looking good. So I'm just adding in some of the red spots back, and then I'm just kind of drawing some red and black stuff on the rest of the body, especially his tentacles and especially his hands. Like, I always love the fact that Carnage just has these black and red veiny spots that just comes out through his hands. That hand shot we got in the trailer I actually really liked. It was just this overall design that was a bit disappointing. I'm not like disowning it or anything. I think it's a great look to start off with, but it was just not what I expected, and that's why I think they're gonna evolve, and maybe this is not the finished CGI piece, plus it's backlit, so you don't really get a lot of details. But yeah, I just really hope Carnage looks more like my design here. Not that I think this is the best Carnage design, it's just one I'm really happy with. And here I'm just adding the final details to the piece, just touching it up, adding some lighting, and in his mouth I'm adding a lot of saliva and spit and everything just to make it really nasty. And that's kind of, I think, one of the best parts of the piece. And then I'm just shading the muscles and adding some highlights back into the piece. And I'm just really proud of how this looks so far. I really like the muscle details and the black gore. I really think I nailed it. And here comes the final details with some dust particles and some light particles. And yeah, let's just take a look at the final piece. So guys, that's basically how I fixed Carnage. So yeah, I really hope you like my version of Carnage. I know it's a bit different from the one we actually got in the movie. In my opinion, way closer to the comics and the animated shows. And I really think Pup is satisfied now. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been my studio. Remember to like and subscribe down below. And leave a comment on what you would like to see next. Maybe I can fix some more characters for you in the future. Remember to stay safe out there, guys, and have a good one. Bye.